Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today we are talking about hotspots on Doordash. So while Doordash has a lot of elements to it, some of which can be confusing, some of which seem like they're going to help you but actually don't, and some actually do help you, but Doordash doesn't talk about it, at least not enough. But in this case, I do want to go over everything that needs to be said about hotspots, what Doordash tells you, how it actually is, and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started. We built hotspots to help dashers find deliveries quickly while on the road. A hotspot is an area within your dashing starting point that indicates the busiest areas for orders. You will generally see hotspots near areas with many restaurants. To increase the chances to receive more orders, simply position yourself closer to a hotspot. Hotspots are meant to guide you to busy areas that are constantly refreshed throughout the day, but they do not guarantee orders. A couple things I do want to note about the way they say that. They say that those areas are the busiest. That means they're receiving more orders. That doesn't necessarily mean that those areas are good for you as a driver. That doesn't mean the customers are tipping. You could see McDonald's as a hotspot, but that doesn't mean they have a lot of tipping customers. So hopefully that makes sense. And the fact that they say that hotspots are near areas with many restaurants, that is a general guide, but it's not the entire truth. Restaurants have a tendency to open up near other restaurants, especially if there's retail stores and everything else to it. So that's not too surprising. But a hotspot can be created as a solo building more times than people are giving it credit for. If you want to increase your chances to receive more orders, yes, you can move closer to that hotspot, but then you're also almost walling yourself off from other restaurants that could be near that area. You can only see hotspots on your dasher map while dashing, and they will be displayed as a circle with a flame icon, which looks something like this. Dynamic hotspots. Dynamic hotspots are created when a certain restaurant or area currently has a lot of orders. Dynamic hotspots will have a red area around it, highlighting the full area of busy restaurants, and will say busy hotspot zone at the bottom of your screen. You do not need to be within the red area to receive an order, but the closer you get, the more likely you are to get an order, which that red area will look something like this. But if that restaurant happens to be near an area with a lot of restaurants that are always kind of hot, you'll notice that a lot on Fridays, Saturdays, sometimes even Sundays. You'll see that whole area turn red. Historical hotspots. Historical hotspots are shown as the flame icon without the red area around them and say previously busy hotspot zone at the bottom of the screen. You will see historical hotspots when it isn't busy enough to create a dynamic hotspot. These hotspots are based on the recent area to guide you to restaurants that are usually busy at that time. That's gonna look something like this. And you'll mainly see this in the really early mornings or really late evenings when there's not a lot of orders that are actually happening. Frequently asked questions. What do I do if I'm being told there are no hotspots available? If the Dasher app is telling you that there are no hotspots available, your app is still working and you can still receive orders. This just means there isn't a location that's busy enough to create a hotspot. During these times, it is best to head to your favorite area and wait for orders. And if there is no hotspot, it's gonna look something like this. In my opinion, this is a red flag for that particular starting point because it means that that area doesn't have a lot of busy restaurants at all. So if that's the way your starting point looks when you just get started early in the morning, you need to be careful because that may not actually be a good thing for you or your area. And I would look into potentially going into a different starting point. How often do hotspots update? Hotspots will update as different restaurants become busy and will refresh every 10 minutes. You can follow them, but areas that have recently been hotspots often remain good areas to receive orders. This is why most people don't think hotspots are very accurate, and I 100% agree with that. Because the internet intervals are every 10 minutes, that means the moment it refreshes is the moment in which they're noting when each area was actually busy. How many orders have not been accepted by a driver from that particular restaurant? That's what really makes a hotspot. That's why you'll see Taco Bell be one of the biggest hotspots, even though in reality, most people know that Taco Bell doesn't have that great of orders. And not to mention, it refreshes every 10 minutes. If you leave your browser screen on the main page of whatever app you're on and don't hit refresh for an hour, it's gonna remain the same screen. That doesn't mean there were no updates on that screen. The Dasher app will show you the closest hotspot to you by default, but you could scroll through others nearby hotspots at the bottom of the screen. So what you could do is you could actually swipe through them and then you could see them that way, or you could just kind of zoom outward and click on each one of those hotspots to see what's up with them. One other side note I'd like to make on this subject is the difference between fishing and hunting. Let's say you have a really good area that is normally really good with orders, but you see other hotspots in other areas, and you know that that area is really busy right now, or there's a lot of orders going, and you want to go over there. That is what is known as hunting for good orders. And if you constantly do that and you build the habit of hunting for good orders, not only are you developing a scarcity mindset for yourself, but you are also wasting gas and putting unnecessary miles on your car, where in reality, what you could be doing is fishing and waiting for a good order. This is why there are some people who like to just have their apps active and just wait for orders at home, because they're waiting patiently for a good order to come in. Once they get a good order, they bolt out the door. They're not necessarily chasing orders. They're not putting unnecessary miles on their car or wasting gas that they need in order to actually fulfill some of these orders. They are waiting patiently for an order to be sent to them. And in a lot of cases, these people are actually building something for themselves while they're at home. These people are very entrepreneurial as well. I might have told myself on how I like to do DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub, but that's how I am as a person. Did I miss anything in terms of hotspots? Is there anything else about hotspots on DoorDash that I did not cover in this video? Let me know in the comments. Let's make sure that everybody knows everything in terms of hotspots on DoorDash, and they can make the most amount of money possible coming in from the gate. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!